Hello, folks. I'm here today with Mario Pasiński and Vladimir Morozov. You can always correct me if I'm pronouncing that name wrong.
It's okay.
It's okay. Like I said, today we are going to talk about Node API. So, well, I'm not, I would say, experienced native developer. So, for example, for me, Node API and JavaScript interface, JSI, seems to be the same thing. So why do we need Node API, a totally different, let's say, add-on system or module system for React Native, if we have JSI, we have Turbo modules, Nitro modules, and whatever other modules there are in the ecosystem?
Yeah, I guess like Node API is not trying to compete with all the different module system. You should rather think about Node API as some kind of boundary of your module. So inside of your module, you can continue to use your favorite APIs, GSI, you can use Expo modules, you can use Nitro modules and stuff. The question is like, when we have your module as a separate unity, a separate shared library, and it works with the rest of React Native, what's actually between them? Because in case of you just have C++ based API or something like this, you actually lose ability to kind of ship precompiled modules and other stuff, because every time we have new version, it will cause you some incompatibilities. You have to change something. For example, every time JSI introduces new function, they often introduce it somewhere in the middle of the table, and many previous calls start to call some random code. You have to recompile it, otherwise it fails.
Yeah, if this is the place, we need to add that, because, well, for developers working with JavaScript or C++, or let's say the code we write, it's a totally different code than what machine basically works with, because we see text and the machine sees bytes, numbers.
Right.
And for example, if we add a method in between of other methods, from our perspective as developers, this is totally the same, nothing changed. But from the perspective of the application binary interface,
right,
it's a breaking change, right?
Yeah, it starts in a different place in the binary because you put code in between, right?
Yeah, so in binary world, when you call something, some function, for example, you need to provide exact index, right, of the starting byte of this function.
Yes.
So that's why it's important to have ABI stable module system, so we can reuse the same modules over again without recompiling for every React Native version, right?
Yes. And actually, here's where C++ is maybe a little bit problematic, because it allows you so many ways to break ABI compatibility, right? Using virtual functions, adding one completely breaks all the offsets. If you do function overloading, also kind of symbols in the emitted binary have to have unique function names, right? Mm-hmm. So if I add a new function with the same name but a different argument type, it's going to be mangled in a completely different symbol name, right? And if you're using a C API, for example, the names are always generated in a deterministic way. Mm-hmm. So here's maybe another reason why Node API, so like C interface, is better, because you can use different programming languages and most of them are compatible with C, right?
All right. So I guess I can use Rust.
Yes.
I can use Go, C, Sharp, Java, Kotlin, whatever there is. I mean,
Python.
As long as it has bindings for Node API, right?
Yes.
As long as I can compile it. I mean, if there is an option to call C bindings, right?
Yes.
Because this is the case.
And most functions, most languages having this C foreign function interface. So you're basically enabled to use most of the language.
Okay. So technically, if I create my own module, native module with Node API, and React Native 1.0 comes with a different API, I guess, my module will still work, because Node API, this part will be still stable, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So I don't need to constantly introduce changes to my code of my native module, because React Native version there's a new version published, right?
Yes.
So it will basically reduce the burden put on developers to always be up to date with what's changing in React Native.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've been on this talk of you gave earlier, and the question is, because there is JSI, there is Node API, we know it's different, right? But why do we need JSI over Node API? Like, isn't it the same? I mean, we should be able to use one of them, but why we decide to wrap one in another?
Oh, technically, like GSI is C++ based API. So if you want to use Rust, you want other languages, you have difficulties. GSI originally, from day one, they said there will be no ABI compatibility and so on. But technically, in order to provide ABI compatibility, we need to have something. And we at Microsoft at some point say like, okay, maybe we should develop some special ABI stable API. For the rest of React Native Windows, use WinRT to develop our own boundary for modules, for views and so on. But then somebody approached me and said like, you know what, there is Node API, already big community behind it. Why to invent something? And we said, okay, we'll do it. But instead of just consuming it, we said, open source is not about consuming free code. Open source is about collaboration. So we approached Node API team and said, hey, folks, we want to use Node API, but we also want to be part of the team. We want to contribute. We want to drive the discussion in certain directions, what we need for our needs and stuff. And we start to kind of meet up, like talk about different things, contribute and stuff. So it's what I kind of like about Node API. It's not some kind of special company behind it, designed on them kind of the dark corner. It's actually community, people from all around the world talking about it, talking about their needs. It's just great community project to start with.
Yeah, I think there's some kind of organization behind Node API, like public, like you can join this organization, right?
So technically it's inside of Node.js, because Node.js is a big project, they effectively have some kind of special different interest groups inside of it. And technically each group has its own schedule of different meetings and stuff. It's very open. Node.js is part of our OpenJS Foundation, OpenJS Foundation. And inside of Node.js, some people, for example, care about build systems. Some people care about the whole kind of C++ direction or kind of different the big direction about enabling Node.js to enable all these different web APIs. It's a kind of huge thing. So all people kind of find their place. Some people actually part of multiple groups. I personally participate only in Node API so far.
Mario, from the perspective of a native developer, if you want to create something right now, would you select Node API to be your interface with the React Native application, or is it too young to be used in this?
No, I would say GSI is younger than Node API. That's
okay.
And like looking from today's trends, I would say I would go for Node API because I can use any programming language. I know Rust is like being in the hype train right now. So I think this is one. And also I have this weird thing that I like to stick with the native programming languages that are old because they're stable. So if I can use C even when I need it, and I can pre-build it once and ship a pre-built binary without shipping source code, then I would go for it because like it's also green, right? It's eco-friendly.
That makes me thinking. I think you wrote some article and it's available on Callstack site about Node API. So if you want to know more about Node API, yeah, it's only about Node API, right?
Yeah, it's on Node API, yes.
Yeah, so you can always go to Callstack website, navigate to blog, and you will find this article right there waiting for you to read it, basically. But I think there's one more short thing we can add, is that with Node API, technically, you can use old version of React Native with latest Hermes.
Right.
Because there is this abstraction layer composed of Node API with JSI on top of it. And I would love to talk with both of you more about it because it's super interesting. And I love getting deep into how it works under the hood, how it works in low level, from the low level perspective. But unfortunately, we have around, I would say, a minute. So I would thank you both for being here with me.
Thank you.